When people hear someone is an addict, they typically assume drugs or booze. As I've explained a couple of times, I have an addictive personality. I can get really hooked on good things and bad things. Today, let's dive right into the juiciness of it all. I'm sure a lot of people, since seeing the title of this podcast, have been curious. Join me today as I dive into my personal journey of breaking up with the bottle and overcoming that aspect of my addictive personality. Today's episode is brought to you by products and services I am thoroughly addicted to and cannot live without. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed and uncertain during the home buying process? Especially in today's market. Look no further. Mike Dix, a realtor with Pemberton Homes, is here to make your experience stress-free and exciting. With years of experience and a passion for helping his clients, Mike is an expert in the Minnesota and Wisconsin markets. He understands the unique needs of a buyer in today's market and will guide you every step of the way. Don't miss out on your dream home. Contact Mike Dix today. Check out the show notes for his information and start your home buying journey with confidence. Hi, I'm Jenna Dix, and I'm always rambling. Just ask my husband. I have a great family and a pretty cool life, but I'm a recovered alcoholic. That's hard to say, but my goal is to inspire and educate to help others hopefully find life beyond an addiction. I'm all things: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Getting healthy, momming, and politics. Get offended easily? You better stop listening. There is no point in wasting that Botox by stressing yourself out listening to a podcast. Welcome to Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Working towards sobriety and a healthier lifestyle truly was a journey for me. It was a journey that I had to dictate. It was a journey that my heart and my head had to align. They had to settle on the fact that this is the decision I need to make. Meaning, plenty of shit had happened in my life, and a lot of people would have said, number one, why the hell did you ever start drinking in the first place? And two, why the hell didn't you stop way before you actually did? I don't know. I truly cannot answer those questions. All I know is I made the decisions I did in my life, but the day that I decided I was done, I was done. My timing with God came to the right point, or my eyes just opened the right way. And all I know is that I hope from today, you can walk away with a little bit of hope. That is what I'm hoping to share. Maybe your story doesn't necessarily involve alcohol, but hopefully you're still able to grab some inspiration for a different area in your life. Let me tell you, I'm not exactly sure today how deep in the weeds I'm going to go with this. But I do know if you're just here for a juicy, gossipy story, that's not what today is about. The goal of today is so you can grab tactical, real, raw tips to improve your life if you find yourself ever hitting your rock bottom, or if you see someone you love hit theirs, so you have a better understanding of how to be there for them. The first time I truly drank, beyond like sneaking a sip out of a bottle or sneaking a tiny sip out of a beer can, I was probably about 16 years old. I stole beer out of the coolers at my own confirmation party. So something for church, right? Probably something that my parents had really good intentions about. I snuck down. I knew there was beers in the cooler. So I started stuffing them up my huge sweater sleeves and brought them up, hid them in my closet. I remember making multiple trips that day doing this. So first off, if my girls ever listen to this, I know the tricks. But that next weekend, after I drank those beers, and truth be told, I remember we also somehow got our hands on a bottle, and there was just a lot that first weekend. But once those floodgates opened, they did not close for 15 years. So 15 years of me being a complete party animal. Stories? I got plenty. I have tons of stories that are absolutely hilarious. Ones that still, to be completely honest, bring smiles to my face, because there were a lot that were just pure, absolute ridiculousness. But a lot of them were amazing, because I grew up in a lot of those stories, and, I connected with people. I have the good drunk stories, just like a lot of people do, right? But the thing is, that's not where it ended for me. If it had, all right, you go on with your life. Life is all grand. But the thing for me is that I lost control of my drinking. Drinking for me wasn't like it is for a lot of other people, or at least how they explain it to me. When I drank, as soon as that first drink would go down, it was a green light. I just wanted more and more and more and more. Sometimes I could cut myself off, but very rarely could I do that. More often than not, my cutoff was usually me passing out. Drinking was part of my culture. I grew up around alcohol, a family that they knew how to have a good time. And as a kid, I thought it was really cool. We went to lots of beer sporting events, lots of people over at the house all the time, hanging out at bars after my dad's sports games. But at the same time, it did bring a lot of things into my life that were not so cool. And despite seeing that, I never owned the link. I knew it was there. I knew that connection was very real, but yet I denied it to myself because selfishly, I wanted the fun side of it. And even when I was the one in that driver's seat, meaning that I was the one choosing to drink, even when that link was happening clearly in my own life, I still chose to ignore it for years, over and over and over. For example, breaking my ankle, my rib, my finger, my wrist, and my hand, all on separate occasions during wasted adventures. Being sexually assaulted at a frat party after playing beer pong that the cups had been spiked with Everclear, and a lot of us girls were unaware of that. I continued to drink after that. Landing my ass in jail after my ex-husband lied, and I was so wasted that I couldn't verbally defend myself to the cops to avoid being arrested. And then when I was sober and my intelligence came back, having to go through the whole process of having to hire a lawyer and get things dismissed and expunged and have my records sealed. Continued to drink after that. Having many physical fights with my ex-husband where our house was destroyed. And now I have scars that I have to look at and think about and wonder, if I hadn't been drinking, would things have gotten so out of control? Or being so hungover that I wound up in the ER because I had vomited over 50 times and I had to go to the ER to get fluids put back in my body. All of those situations didn't stop me. I kept going. I kept drinking the following week. These are obviously some of the worst that happened to me. But there were plenty of other things that did happen that fell on that side of, well, dang, that's not too fun. But I continued just to tell myself, but drinking is fun. I never flat out said that out loud. But obviously that lie was very present in my mind, otherwise I would have stopped, or one would think. I just kept saying to myself, it's worth it. The day that I finally made the decision to stop, I don't know. I don't know if the stars aligned or how God's hand really stirred stuff up that day, But truthfully, I think that's how life works. We aren't necessarily supposed to truly understand God's plan and the power that he has. All I know is that the day I hit my version of my rock bottom, I was tanked. 12 beers in, 2 shots, and all within just a few hours. Which, hey, truth be told, that wasn't like my worst. I drank plenty more than that, which is sad. But at the same time, I still remember about 90% of that evening, which was not the normal. Often, like I said, I would drink until I'd pass out, so there would be evenings that I didn't remember. But all I know that night was a drunken fiasco, which, again, not uncommon. But that night, the fiasco hit 3 strikes that made my eyes open incredibly wide. And the next day, my world was spun on its head. That's the only way to explain it. I woke up and my hand was broken, which honestly, that was like the least of my concern. I could have cared less. I honestly didn't even go in for 3 days to the doctor to get things checked out because there were so many other things going on in my head and my heart that mattered way more than, holy crap, I can't function my hand. My 3 strikes were, I'd hurt my dad, who had been trying to help me that evening. I literally pushed him off our front steps and broke his ribs. I hurt my husband by hitting him in the head because I was upset with him. And during a raging moment that evening, I broke my bonus daughter's sports trophy. And that last one, you may be sitting there and be like, what the fuck, a trophy? You broke your hand, you said, right? Who cares, Johnny? You broke your hand. I also broke a closet door that night and a pantry door and put a hole in a wall. But yet you're worried about a trophy? Yeah, I was. And I still am like heartbroken about that fact of it. Side note, I was blessed that my bonus daughter was not here. It was just at the time, my boyfriend, now my husband, and myself here that evening until my family arrived. But she wasn't here. But the fact that I'd hurt the 2 men that I loved more than anything in the world, and I knew they loved me with their whole heart, and I impacted, or could have impacted, a child's life with my drunken selfishness was unfathomable. Like, I was destroyed that next morning. And the reason the trophy hit me so hard was because when I was younger, one of my trophies had been destroyed in a drunken fiasco evening. And I remember being that kid and my heart hurting so bad and not understanding. And I'm blessed in the aspect of, like I said, Haley wasn't here. She wasn't aware. But still, it hit me in the right spot where I was like, what the fuck? I did that. And I decided that next day, I need to make some changes. My husband, like I said, who at the time was just my boyfriend, the following day, he loved me so hard. He was upset with me, no doubt. But he loved me hard, which honestly was so confusing. I was obviously thrilled that he hadn't, walked out and slammed the door, which rightfully could have. But I just thought to myself, holy crap, you cannot continue this way. And at that point I knew, okay, the bullshit booze hiatuses are not the answer. Bullshit rules that you continue to make for yourself about drinking, those aren't the answer. You need to give it up. So, I took 4 steps. And I took these 4 steps within 3 days. Because I knew to make this happen, it needed to be swift and immediate. There had to be urgency. So the first thing I did, I truthfully admitted to myself I have a problem. And I told the people in my life that mattered to me the most. I told all 4 of my best friends. I told my husband. I told my parents. And I told my sister. all that first weekend, I called, I messaged, I reached out and got a hold of all of them and said, I have a problem. I told them the story. I need help. The second thing I did, I spoke with a professional. I was blessed in the aspect I already had a counselor, but I went to her, I got an appointment immediately set up, and I shared with her for the first time, truthfully, how my relationship with booze really was, what had happened that weekend, and I told her I needed to be done, and I needed a recommendation from her on what to do. She immediately set up a few sessions with me so that we could really dive into it and she could make a diagnosis, which her diagnosis was alcohol abuser, since I wasn't drinking daily or anything of that sort, but I was definitely abusing alcohol. She told me that treatment was an option, but with the diagnosis, with where I was at, she didn't feel it was 100% necessary. She said that she felt that alcohol counseling could be something that would be of help to me at this point. So luckily that was in her skill set. So I continued to work with her quite frequently. We got all of our appointments set up immediately. And truth be told, I still see her periodically, 3 years later. The third step, I purchased the book. It was a workbook, and it was called Sober as Fuck, 28-Day Workbook. And I completed that. I got that I ordered it on Amazon. It was there like 2 days later, and I dove right in and started working my way through that. And the fourth thing, I immersed myself in the world of sobriety and alcohol-free living. Every which way possible, I surrounded myself. So I downloaded podcasts. I joined Facebook groups. I followed Instagram accounts. I wanted that kind of lifestyle to surround me every which way I was turning, because I know my personality. So, 15 years of drinking. In truth, I know some people are well beyond 15 years. For me, 15 years was more than enough. My rock bottom is one that stings my heart. But it was the wake-up call I needed. And it's important to know that everybody's rock bottom is different. And just like all journeys in life, a journey to giving up an addiction is not a straight line. I think of that image that travels around the internet, and it's a map to success, and everyone envisions a straight arrow. And in truth, it's like a knotted disaster of a line. This type of journey is by far that perfectly knotted line. Every podcast, I end with a bit of motivation for those struggling with an addiction. So yes, remember, if you are battling an addiction, reach out for help and support. There are so many resources available to support you in this type of recovery journey. Because everyone's steps look different. I had 4 steps and mine worked for me. Maybe my 4 steps would work for you. Maybe 2 of the 4. Maybe you need 7. Maybe you need 2. Alcohol counseling was my jam. Maybe somebody else out there is like, no, I need AA, or I need in-treatment therapy. Everyone is different. There are so many different things because we all need different options, different avenues. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this story was inspirational so that, like I said, either A, it helps you, or B, it gives you a perspective so that you can better understand someone if you ever come across this in your life. The key is, remember, surround yourself with a supportive community and never give up on the path towards a healthier and happier life, because you do deserve it. Don't forget to check out the show notes for more information on Mike Dix, the Realtor, who will make your home buying process stress-free and exciting. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Remember, if you are battling an addiction, reach out for help and support. There are many resources available to assist in your journey towards recovery. Surround yourself with a supportive community and never give up on the path towards a healthier and happier life. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and joining me on this journey. As you heard, I'm always rambling. But seriously, thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe and follow my channel. I can't wait to share more with you on the next episode. Until then, keep on rambling. If you have found this podcast helpful and want to dive deeper into personal growth and self-improvement, be sure to head over to my website, jennadix.com. You'll find a wealth of resources there. There is a little less drugs, sex, and rock and roll these days, but whether you're interested in getting healthy, information on momming or parenting, or politics, jennadix.com has something for everyone. So, what are you waiting for? Head to jennadix.com today and start your journey towards personal growth and self-awareness. See you there.